welcome to Cooking with Dr. Dewey Stevens. Today I've enlisted my nurse practitioner, Mr. Aiden, to help out with today's recipe. Aiden, what's today's recipe?
We're making marinara sauce.
Marinara sauce. A classic marinara sauce to wow your friends and family. A couple things about marinara. Me personally, I've always tried primarily to ragouts and bolognese, which is kind of my favorite, but after experimenting a lot with some marinaras, I found that I actually do enjoy marinara a lot, provided it's done correctly. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of that today and talk about how that works. I think first off, the key to a good marinara are the tomatoes, and I know I have some canned tomatoes here. You can use fresh tomatoes, that works well. Just make sure you remove the skins first. But I think what really makes a good marinara are the San Marzano tomatoes, and you can find these at any grocery store. This is just found at my local grocery store. You can find them online. I'm sure you can order them on Amazon or what have you. But they should say San Marzano. Otherwise, like I said, any tomatoes will work. The thing about San Marzano tomatoes is they are less acidic. They're a little more smooth, and so the natural sugars come out a little bit more. You don't have to add sugar like you normally would if you're making marinara or some kind of other tomato-based sauce. Some of the other ingredients here. What do we have here, Aiden?
We have some olive oil.
Olive oil. We're going to use that to saute the onions, and
we have some garlic.
Some garlic.
Minced California garlic.
That's right. We're gonna, if you have fresh garlic, absolutely use fresh garlic. I just didn't happen to have fresh garlic today, so we're gonna cheat, and I think that's perfectly acceptable. A lot of people just won't know the difference, but we're gonna use that anyway.
We have a lot of kosher salt.
A lot of kosher salt. A lot of recipes will call for sea salt. If you have it, great. I don't usually carry sea salt again, so I'm gonna use some kosher salt, and again, not a lot, because a lot of the flavor of the marinara is going to come from these tomatoes, so we're just going to use a little bit.
And then we have garlic or onion. I don't know what it is.
This is a small yellow onion.
Okay.
A lot of recipes will call for this amount of tomatoes. A lot of recipes will call for a half a yellow onion. This is a smaller medium onion, and I'm gonna so I'll probably just use all of it.
Spinach or garlic?
Basil, which is one of the key ingredients in this recipe. We're gonna use some for chopping, but what we're actually going to do is we're going to throw some of this right in the sauce, stem and everything. The reason being is we want the basil to flavor the sauce, but also when you take it out, if you have the stems intact, it makes it a lot easier just to pull it out with some tongs or what have you. So, but some of those are our key ingredients today. Today is going to be a three-part episode. We're going to start with marinara. What else are we making?
We're making spaghetti and then meatballs.
That's right.
And then, yeah, it's going to be delicious.
It is going to be delicious. We're going to start with the marinara. We're going to do this episode, and then we'll do a couple more smaller episodes where we're going to do meatballs. We're going to make homemade meatballs, and then we're also going to make homemade pasta as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
And then at the end, we're going to show you the entire meal and stuff.
Yep. So one of the cool things about marinara is obviously you can make it with spaghetti or whatever kind of pasta you like. We're going to actually end up making homemade spaghetti noodles. But you can also use it for pizza, which we'll do in a later episode as well. We really enjoy making pizza, don't we? And I think that's about all we have to talk about right now before we get started. Is that right? Do we have anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and chop some of the stuff up and the magic of video editing, and we'll get started on the stove in a few minutes.
Video editing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Editing. Welcome back. We have chopped up some of our ingredients. We've got some olive oil heating in this pan on the stove. We're going to start by sauteing our onions. And Aiden, you want to go ahead and give it a go?
Right.
Remember, this is a whole small yellow onion. For this amount of tomatoes, you can do half a large one, or we had small yellow, so we used that. So just throw it all in there, scoop the rest of it out. Just make more of a mess. Get it everywhere. It's all good. All right. And now the olive oil wasn't quite hot enough, but that's okay. It'll start sizzling in a few minutes. We're gonna let these. We're we're gonna let these saute for about 10 minutes or so until they are nice and translucent. We're going to also be adding some kosher salt, like I said before. If you have sea salt, awesome. I don't, so I'm just gonna use just a little pinch. And then a few grinds of some black pepper. That's good. Now it's starting to sizzle. Why don't you go ahead and give that a little turn? There we go. Oh, you can hear it. It's sizzling. Very good. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. All right, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna let these go for about 10 minutes, and we'll be back, and we're gonna start adding the other ingredients.
Yep.
Hello everyone and welcome back. My apologies, our video, I don't know what happened to our video. So I've got some B-roll video here of just us doing some miscellaneous tasks in the kitchen. Last we left off we were sauteing the onions and waiting for those to become about translucent, about 8 or 10 minutes or so. And so what happened is when we got to the point where the onions were done, that's when we threw in the garlic. It was about a tablespoon or so of minced garlic. You can do, obviously more or less if you, depending on your tastes, but that's about right, about a tablespoon or so. And you really only want to let the garlic go for about no longer than a minute is my sort of rule of thumb. So any more than that, you risk the rent of burning it, and burnt garlic is just no bueno. So you don't want to do that at all. So saute the garlic for another minute or so, and once that's ready, then you just dump in all of the tomatoes. So we had 2 cans of the San Marzano tomatoes, the 28-ounce cans. Go ahead and just dump all of those in, the juices and everything. And what you do is you just take your regular wooden spoon. Go ahead and just start mashing them with the tomatoes as best you can. It does not have to be perfect, just enough. Just break them down a little bit more so that they're in the smaller chunks. You kind of want some rustic chunks in there as you cook, and as it cooks, it will cook down a lot as well. So you want to let that go, and once you get that into more or less of a quote unquote sauce, then you can add the basil. We added about 4 sprigs of basil, stem and everything. Like I said, if you put the stem in, it's easy to take it out later versus just putting in the leaves and then you have to scoop out each individual leaf. That's no fun. And you really don't want to leave that basil in there long term anyway, because once it's been cooked like that for a couple hours, it's just wilted and kind of gross. So nobody wants gross stuff in their sauce, right? So that's why I leave the stems attached. Go ahead and remove the stems and everything. But we did have a few leftover leaves that came off, so we used those. We chopped those up, and once the sauce was finished, and we let it cook about 90 minutes or so. You could go a little bit longer, put it on low, and let it go for a couple hours if you need to. We actually let it, a lot of recipes will call for just an hour. We let it go a little bit longer because we were doing other things in the kitchen. So we just put it on low, let it coast, and we kind of did our thing. And so then in the next footage you'll see is a sort of our finished product and wrapping up part of this episode. But again, my apologies. We misplaced our video. So here's some B-roll with my voiceover, and we'll talk later. Welcome back to episode 1, Marinara. We are just about done. It's been simmering a little over an hour. I had it on low for a while. It is time to remove the parsley. So
we had this thing over it, so none of this stuff like popped out or whatever.
Yeah, if you have one of these are nice when you're cooking sauces like this, especially pasta sauce or marinara, because it can splatter and then you end up with red dots everywhere all over your nice clean kitchen. So we're gonna go ahead and take the.
So all you gotta do is like grab the stem with your
There we go.
tongs.
We talked about this earlier.
Put it all in.
If you left the basil intact with the stem, then it makes it a lot easier to remove.
Yeah.
We have not finished our meatballs yet, and we're going to start on the pasta in a little bit. But the pasta sauce is pretty much ready. So what we're going to do is we're going to just push it to the side, put a lid on it, and we're going to finish it off with some more basil.
Yep.
So that basil that we had earlier that we chopped up, Aiden?
It's been here for like Over an hour.
Will you do the honors, please? Just gonna mix that all in. Again, this is just kind of helps finish off the flavor. We've got the basil in there. We're gonna do a quick little glance at the camera so you can see our beautiful pasta sauce.
Beautiful.
Nice color in there with the fresh basil. We are done cooking it, so we're gonna. And my apologies, we did not get it in the shot very well. So here is a picture of what it should look like, more or less. Nice red color with some green basil, and hopefully that helps out. Once it's completed, you can store it in the fridge for 5-7 days or so, depending, and use it for pizza or pasta or whatever you need to use it for. So
Whatever. Doesn't matter.
I think that pretty much concludes episode 1.
Yep.
Aiden?
Nope, nothing else.
Oh, all right.
It's the magic of
Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. We're going to continue on with episodes 2 and 3, and we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.